In this documentary by Before Caledonia, we'll take a look at one of the UK's most recognisable but little understood standing stone sites from prehistory. In this film we'll take a look at Callanish in detail. We'll look at the main circle, the ceremonial avenue, the chambered cairn, the south, west and east rows and more. We'll also look at some similarities Callanish has with other Neolithic sites around the UK. The Western Isles in Scotland is home to one of the most impressive Neolithic complexes in Great Britain. The Callanish stones are situated on the remote Outer Hebrides on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. Callanish is the top tourist attraction on the Isle of Lewis and one of the most complete stone circles in Scotland. The Callanish stones are also known as the Stonehenge of the North and is an incredible survivor from the Neolithic age. The Callanish complex is one of the most impressive ancient ceremonial landscapes in Britain, which is on a par with Orkney's Ness of Brodgar or Stonehenge in Avebury in England. At Callanish we can walk in the footsteps of our ancient ancestors and touch the beautiful megaliths they constructed 5 millennia ago. If you enjoy this film and would like to help the channel, please hit the like button, share the video, watch it to the end, subscribe and leave a comment for a personal reply. One of these simple actions helps the channel grow. Before Caledonia is also a Facebook group. At the end of this video I'll put links to the lesser known Callanish sites, Callanish 2, 3, 4 and 8 stone circles, which are dotted around the local area. Let me know in the comments below your favourite prehistoric site in the UK. Is it Stonehenge, Callanish, Avebury or one of the sites in Orkney? Cnoc and Tursa. Before you approach the Callanish stones from the southern entrance is a rock outcrop known as Cnoc and Tursa. This arrangement of boulders was perhaps the original temple before the megaliths were erected and seems to be a special location to the ancient people and may have been a key component in why the Callanish stones are located where they are. This footage is from the top of Cnoc and Tursa and looking north towards the main Callanish site. 2 small kerbed cairns were built on top of this rock outcrop. From up here is a good location to view the Callanish environs and look out for Callanish 2 and 3 stone circles in the distance. Cnoc and Tursa translates from Gaelic as Hillock of Sadness. Notice the strange human-like face on the middle stone. Below this rock is a cave-like feature where you can take a seat and look out northwards over the Callanish stones. Perhaps an important person sat here during ceremony. This arrangement of rocks to me resembles a turtle. You can see a head to the right and flippers. I'm sure the ancient people noticed these features. Excavation found post holes and pits in the front of Cnoc and Tursa. The first recorded mention of Callanish was in 1680, saying the stones were a sort of men converted into stones by an enchanter. All the stone is Westen gneiss, which is the oldest rock in the UK. The prehistoric people picked stone with crystalline nodules, and the quarry site may have been 1 mile from Callanish. The wings. Projecting out from the main circle is 5 rows, which is very unusual. In the UK, only Avebury stone circle in England can we find something similar. It's well known that the main Callanish site is roughly set out like the shape of a Celtic cross. However, this was built 3,000 years before Christianity. Perhaps the circle and rows make up a human body, with the south row being the head, the east and west rows the arms, the circle the body, the huge central standing stone being the heart, and the 2 rows which make up the avenue could be the legs. Some of the Neolithic sites in Orkney are also laid out like the human body. The South Row. The 5 stones of the South Row point towards the Cnoc and Tursa and seem to run in a line from the huge central stone inside the main circle. At either side of this stone row is 2 standalone stones, stone number 35 and stone number 9. Stone number 9 sits just next to the South Row and possibly has a connection with stone 34 in the opposite direction to the northeast. Looking closely at the shape of 2 of the South Row stones shows an outline which appears at other Neolithic sites such as Balgorka recumbent stone circle in Aberdeenshire and Machrie Moor on the Isle of Arran. The shape of these 2 stones to me resembles a hunched over older woman, which also face each other and have a significant gap between them. These standing stones are possibly the hag or crone, which may symbolise the wise old woman. From this row you can make out Callanish 2 stone circle in the distance, perhaps intentionally intervisible for the ancient people to walk between the stone circles. Stone number 35 sits just a few metres away. The Victorians set this small stone in concrete. A bit of folklore regarding this stone is it was broken by someone who was waiting for a boat while drunk. Notice the break on the bottom half of the stone. The East Row. A second row of 5 stones projects from the east arc of the main circle. These standing stones were erected after the main circle in the Copper Age. The last stone at the end of the row is numbered 33A. This was lost for a century, then re-erected in its original position in 1982 after it was discovered in 1977. Notice the light colouring of the stone. This is due to peat while the stone was laying recumbent in the ground. Stone 33A seems to have the profile of a human and looks out over towards Sleeping Beauty, which we'll find out more about later. This footage was taken a day before autumn equinox in 2024. Unfortunately, due to the mist totally obscuring the view, it's not known where exactly the sun appeared in the landscape. This sped up footage shows a moonrise from the east wing. The chambered cairn. Inside the circle on the east arc between the huge central monolith and the main ring is the chambered cairn, which was discovered during peat clearance. The cairn was a later addition, 4 centuries after the megaliths were erected. The cairn has a short passage and 2 compartments. Human bones were excavated and Victorian glass was found at the sides of the chamber between the stones. Perhaps the cairn may have been some kind of ritual womb tomb. Around 3,000 years ago, the chamber's contents were scattered and the capstone ripped off. Only the cairn was part rebuilt using the original capstone to make a northern kerb. After this, peat began to grow over the chamber. The circle. The main Callanish circle alone is one of the most impressive stone circles in the UK. Unlike the iconic Stonehenge, there's no lintels here. The beautiful Westen Isles standing stones are between 2.5 metres and 3.5 metres high and tower over the visitor. The astonishing preservation of Callanish was due to a 2 metre build-up of peat over 3 millennia. When the peat was stripped away, this revealed the stones were bleached. The remoteness and sparse population would have been another factor in the site's preservation. The Outer Hebrides seems an unusual location to build a major Neolithic temple. Did the prehistoric people look for suitable locations for key astronomical events? It's highly likely Callanish had a multifunctional purpose. Callanish is 46 metres east-west and 122 metres north-south. 49 standing stones make up the main site, and significant excavations took place in 1980 and 1981. The circle is 12.5 metres in diameter and has 13 stones, which may represent the 13 full moons in a solar year. The ring along with the avenue both have possible lunar associated numbers. Callanish, along with Callanish 3 and 10, are what Professor Alexander Thom called a type A flattened circle. Professor Thom was a Scottish archaeoastronomer and founder of the megalithic yard. He measured stone circles in the UK and beyond. You can find a documentary about his work on YouTube called Cracking the Stone Age Code. Looking closely at stone number 51 from inside the circle reveals a male phallic shape, which suggests the ancient people participated in fertility rituals, or perhaps this was an acknowledgement to the creation of human life. Stone number 46 continues this male symbolism when viewed from a certain angle. Male-shaped stones are also found at some of the Aberdeenshire recumbent stone circles. I'll put a link to my Aberdeenshire Stone Circles documentary at the top right hand corner of the screen. Peat started to form 3,500 years ago after the climate deteriorated. By the 1800s, most of Lewis was blanketed in 2 metres of peat. From Callanish is a 360 degree landscape view. This is a common theme at stone circles. Callanish was no doubt carefully placed in a landscape very important to the ancient people. The Neolithic was warmer, drier and had lower sea levels. Trees of silver birch and hazel grew in the Neolithic. Around 3,500 years ago, all the trees were cleared away. Stone number 45 is interesting. On the outside, near the top, is what looks like a black woman's face. On the inner side of this same stone is another human figure with a head, body, arms and legs. Inside the ring is a large 5 metre high central megalith. This is the site's tallest stone. Could this represent the heart, with the circle representing the human body and the rows being the head, arms and legs? Looking at the circle stones reveals some interesting human-like outlines. These human-like profile stones were no doubt intentional by the ancient architects and could be symbolic of the ancestors. Perhaps each individual stone in the ring has a meaning or collectively tells a story. The two megaliths either side of stone number 45 seem to face each other and to me look like female guardians reminiscent of the Uchinkar standing stone on the Isle of Arran. On the outside of this stone there seems to be a female face. This is a close-up image. The main circle at Callanish has 13 stones, which is interesting as the moon orbits the earth 13 times each year and moves 13 degrees each day. The moon is commonly regarded as female, while the sun is thought to be male. The West Row. Unlike the 5 stones at the south and east rows, the West Row has only 4 standing stones. The first 3 stones form a line, with the end stone set differently. These stones are reminiscent of an Aberdeenshire recumbent stone circle setting. The right hand stone to me is male phallic shaped. The middle megalith resembles an Aberdeenshire recumbent stone, with the left upright could be female with its diamond shape, which resembles stones at Avebury Circle in Wiltshire. This footage taken the night before the autumn equinox in 2024 shows the sun setting into the landscape while standing at the right hand stone nearest the circle. Perhaps this row was set up as a rough guide for the sun setting at the equinox. This footage shows the sunrise from the West Row on the morning of the autumn equinox 2024. The mist at the equinox gave the Callanish stones an ethereal, otherworldly-like atmosphere. The few observers who gathered at the stones for this key solar event had singing bowls, done some gentle drumming, Gaelic singing and meditation. The equinoxes when night and day are of equal balance. This happens twice a year at the spring equinox on the 20th or 21st of March, which is the start of the astrological year and the light half of the year. Then 6 months later at the autumn or fall equinox, again we have equal balance of day and night on September the 22nd or the 23rd, which is the dark half of the year. This footage shows real-time film at the equinox sunrise at Callanish in September 2024. There are also 2 solstices, the summer solstice which usually takes place on June the 21st. This is the day of most daylight. 6 months later, on December the 21st or sometimes the 22nd, the winter solstice occurs. This is the day in the year with the least amount of daylight. These equinoxes and solstices were very important to our ancient ancestors. The solstices and equinoxes are reversed depending on the north or south hemisphere. 2 classic Greek writers wrote about the northern region of Hyperborea. The Hyperboreans' temple was winged. In 55 BC, Diodorus wrote, "There is on an island a notable temple which is spherical in shape. The moon, as viewed from this island, appears but a little distance from the earth. The gods visited the island every 19 years. From the Butt of Lewis on the north of the Isle of Lewis all the way down south to Berneray, looking out over the North Atlantic Ocean, the Western Isles looks to me like the profile of a human face with the Callanish stones at the third eye position. To me, Callanish looks like a megalithic antenna which is high in quartz content." The Avenue. Radiating north from the circle is 2 stone rows, which is very unusual. This is commonly thought to be a processional way, which is reminiscent of the avenue at Avebury Stone Circle. The processional way has 19 stones, 10 one side and 9 on the other. The number 19 has a possible lunar connection, which may represent the 19-year Metonic lunar cycle. A few other examples of stone circles in the UK which have a number 19 association are Torhouse in Dumfries and Galloway and the Merry Maidens in Cornwall. When walking the avenue, notice the strange shape of stones, the peculiar spacing, also the cuts and angles of the stones. Stone number 4 seems to have a face. This is called simulacra and is likely intentional. Simulacra is also seen at other stone circles throughout the UK like Avebury and Stonehenge. You can make out a face, nose and chin. Notice how the head is tilted to an angle. At the start of the avenue are two megaliths. Stone number 19 on the left looks like a tall guardian stone. This is set with its broad face looking up the avenue, which is converse to all the other avenue stones. Perhaps this is marking the start of the ceremonial way. From these two end stones is quite a gap until the next stones in the avenue. To me this looks like a possible humanoid guardian, reminiscent of similar stones at the Ring of Brodgar in Avebury. Did the ancient people acknowledge this megalith to enter the sacred Callanish circle? Mrs. Curtis, a well-known Callanish researcher, found the top of this stone in a wall. It's now back in its original position. The top came dislocated between 1860 and 1885. The megalith on the right, stone number 8, is offset to the avenue. This standing stone directs your eye and seems to point towards the Sleeping Beauty hill range, far away in the distance. At this skewed stone, did they acknowledge the Sleeping Beauty from this megalith before walking up the ceremonial avenue? The modern car park and fence is very close to these two stones. The Sleeping Beauty. During astronomical research by Mr. and Mrs. Curtis, two well-known Callanish researchers, it was found at important times of the moon's cycle, the lunar body rises from a series of hills in the southeast horizon, known as Sleeping Beauty. In Gaelic, this translates as Cairn, meaning the old woman of the moors. These hills resemble a recumbent female figure. No doubt there's a link with the lunar cycle, Sleeping Beauty, and the standing stones. A few other examples of recumbent landscape figures visible from stone circles are Machrie Moor on the Isle of Arran and Tomnavery in Aberdeenshire. Did the ancients see this as a real giant which had been somehow preserved in stone? From the location of Achmore Stone Circle, which is also known as Callanish 22, Sleeping Beauty appears pregnant. This zoomed in footage shows the Sleeping Beauty in the far distance from the skewed stone at the bottom of the avenue. You can make out a head to the right, then the body, knees and legs. Visibility is weather permitting. In recent times, September 2006 and June 1987, witnesses standing in the avenue would have observed the major lunar standstill. This is the moon's extreme southern rise. The lunar body rose out of the Sleeping Beauty, floated low over the horizon, then descended and briefly reappeared in the ring. The next major standstill will also happen in 2025. The halfway point in the 18.6 year lunar cycle is the minor standstill. Walking the gentle hill of the avenue towards the main circle does give the sense of a processional ceremonial way that the ancient ancestors would have walked. The main Callanish site is situated off the northwest coast of Scotland on the Isle of Lewis. The stones are 12 miles west of Stornoway, which is the main town on the island, and just off the A858 road. The site is well signposted and in the care of Historic Environment Scotland. Lewis and Harris have beautiful beaches of white sand and light blue water. A new visitors centre is planned in 2025. I hope you, the viewer, has enjoyed this film on the main Callanish site and may be inspired to visit this magical location. Who knows what might be beneath the ground or underwater waiting to be discovered in the coming decades. Who knows what we might learn about Callanish in the coming centuries. Callanish will still hold fascination for future generations. Before Caledonia is a prehistory project which focuses on stone circles, standing stones and rock art from Scotland's Neolithic and Bronze Age eras. Before Caledonia is also a Facebook group. You can support the project by becoming a Patreon and receive exclusive physical and digital content. There's also a PayPal donation option. All links can be found in the description box below. Please watch these films in the lesser visited sites at the Callanish complex. Thanks for watching, thanks to my Patreons, and a megalithic thanks to the ancient architects who constructed Callanish.